Hello and welcome to the EZ classes. In this video, we will be discussing low level equilibrium trap, a theory that was given by Nelson in one of his 1956 paper that was published in American Economic Review in December 1956. Title of the paper was A Theory of Low Level Equilibrium Trap. This topic assumes significance because of the fact that this was the time when there was plenty of literature that was being developed in the area of economic development and growth, and the focus of all such literature was to find as to how the economies that are underdeveloped, how they could be made to grow and made to develop. What are the maladies from which they suffer? What are the causative factors for their being underdeveloped? And what is required of them to get out of that, the state of underdevelopment? Problem with the underdevelopment is that, and many people are convinced that if special efforts are not made, underdevelopment tends to perpetuate itself because the forces that are generated there, they themselves will keep the economy to remain at the low level of economic development. One such theory, for example, the vicious circle of poverty, also explains the same thing, because you are trapped in such a situation where one thing leads to another, and ultimately you end up from where, or from whatever, whether you attempt it from supply side or demand side. But in this video, I will focus on Nelson's low level equilibrium trap, rather on the vicious circle of poverty. Okay. Now, Nelson basically identified three factors on which the development or the growth of income will depend. Although he has taken per capita income to be the principal factor, although we all know that per capita income is not the only factor that or the per capita is not the only indicator of the level of development, but it is one of the important. Okay, so because that throws a considerable light on the state of economic development along with other factors, but per capita income occupies a very significant place amongst the indicators of the development. Okay, so per capita income or the growth of the income in the economy depends, because it is the growth of the economy on which the per capita income will depend along with the population growth. So it will depend on three factors basically: the capital stock, technology, the kind of technology that the economy having access to, and the population. Capital stock and increase in it, that is basically investment, increase in capital stock, because the investment by definition is the increase in the stock of capital. So that is important factor of production, and so is labor. And labor depends on the growth rate of population. There could be other factors also, but population is the principal determinant of the labor force which is available in the economy. And technology determines as to, with these resources, what is the level of growth that you are able to achieve. Now, consider the economies that are underdeveloped, where all the economic activities are at very low, so per capita income is very low. So you can understand as to what will be the state of affairs as far as the availability of the total stock of capital is concerned. Obviously it is low, and they are not having access to the state of the art technology. They are using the primitive technology, and that technology will not be use of that technology will not result in a very tremendous growth with the help of the available factors that are available to the economy in terms of labor and capital. So technology is not very advanced, not very state of art technology. Capital stock is low, and per capita income is also low. Now, let us consider that Nelson has identified as to what will be the trend in the underdeveloped economy, a trend of the growth of population and the growth of the capital stock. What will be its trend? So I have drawn the diagram. Let us come to this in order to save time, but I will explain you each panel of the diagram, which consists of basically the three panels, and they are interrelated. Okay. On the x-axis, we are measuring the per capita income. Okay, and on the y-axis, vertical axis, in this panel, let me give it a name: panel A, panel B, and panel C. In the panel A, in the vertical axis, we are measuring the population growth rate, okay, in percentage terms. So in this curve shows as to what is likely to be the trend of population growth in underdeveloped economies. In the second panel, we find as to at what rate the capital investment in the economy will grow. Okay, so it is basically dk by the change in capital stock divided by population, that is the per capita change in capital stock. And in this panel, we have combined the population and the income growth rate. Income growth here not in terms of per capita but the total income. So let me explain it one by one. Nelson basically had used the idea developed by Malthus way back more than 1.5 century ago, as to how the population grows as the income grows, and as the per capita income grows, population has a tendency to grow more, and this growth rate of population will outpace, according to Malthus, it will outpace the means of subsistence. And it is because of this reason that Malthus had called for the check on the population growth or check on the birth rate, because if you will not put in place the birth rate, then the nature will play its role. Okay, so but I am not going into that Malthusian theory, but this is evident there. As population will increase up to this level of population, up to this level of per capita income, as population grows, population growth rate is sub-zero. Okay, in terms of percentage, population is not growing very much. Maybe death rate is very high for the low level of income. Here, growth rate of population is zero. That is, death rate and birth rate, they are roughly the same. And then as the per capita income grows, population increases very fast, like the second phase of demographic transition. Okay, because the factors that will be activated in this phase are that where the death rate declines significantly while birth rate continues to be continues to be higher, and since per capita income is increasing, people are becoming more prosperous, so that will result in higher birth rate. And after reaching this level, at some of this per capita income level, rate of growth of population will stabilize at this, because those factors will also be activated, where the population, where the birth rate will also decline, and for some time, for a quite long range of per capita income, there is likely to be the stable population growth rate before reaching a point from where it would start decline again because of the decline in the birth rate. Okay, but that is employed in that. Okay, then in the second panel, one more thing, Nelson had assumed that whatever capital is coming, it is coming from the savings which is affected by the population, or the saving out of the same income which is generated in the country, and the amount which is not consumed, that is the saving. So capital is coming basically from the domestic saving. Role of the foreign capital is not considered here. Okay, so obviously when per capita income is very low, there is no point of having any capital stock. So per capita capital stock is very low, rather negative here. And then after reaching this, corresponding to this point, this is threshold in a sense, then per capita capital stock will increase as the per capita income is increasing. So per capita capital stock is increasing. Obviously this will further lead to increase in the income. There is a dynamic dialectical relationship. Increase in per capita income will lead to the increase in the per capita capital stock, and per capita capital stock will lead to increase in the income further. Okay, and depending upon at what rate the population is growing, the per capita income will be growing. So capital stock has a per capita investment will be increasing. Change in capital means investment, and divided by population, that means the per capita investment. So per capita investment is increasing as the per capita income is increasing. Now let us combine in the third panel both the rate of growth of population and the income growth. Income growth which results from the investment, per capita investment. And here this curve that is the same curve. Initially it starts from negative, reaching here at this point. 3 points are important, and then after this it starts declining again. Now change in income, that is the growth of income, not per capita, growth of the total income, that starts growing, and after at one point it will surpass the population growth rate. Okay, it will surpass the population growth rate before declining. It will decline because the population is much lower than that, and as you know, the population is one of the factor, maybe because of the labor shortage or whatever. So it will start declining, and then it will decline below the population growth rate. Now it is significant that up to this point H, okay, when population has increased, income is here, per capita income is here, and all the factors that are at work. This is stable equilibrium point. This is stable equilibrium. Now as the income will increase from here to here, you will find that income is growing, but population is growing faster than the growth of the income. That will result in the per capita income to decline. So it will force the per capita income to come back to this point. Okay, that means it will come back here. So growth rate which is more than the growth rate of income, this will be the drag on the growth of per capita income. So per capita income will be here. So this is the trap. Unless you find the ways to somehow cross this threshold, because thereafter you will be moving, because your income is growing faster than the population growth rate. So this is the unstable equilibrium. This only indicates that in order to cross this, you require the efforts and resources and strategy. Okay, unless you cross this, you will find the forces will push you back to the low level equilibrium trap, which is this. Okay, but if you somehow activated the factors that would take the economy maybe in the form of a big push or whatever, then you will be able to move to another stable equilibrium. This is stable. This is stable equilibrium. This is unstable. Okay, so this is equilibrium, low level equilibrium trap, because unless you cross this threshold, you will remain underdeveloped. Now, what ways he had suggested, or what could be the possible ways? Because Nelson believed that besides the kind of technology, state of technology is backward or not state of the art, capital stock is very low, population increase is very fast so these are all the factors that keep the economy or the per capita income at the low level, and as a result the economic development as well. He also found that there exists a kind of inertia, both economic inertia as well as cultural inertia. Economic inertia that is reflected in the unwillingness to use the new technology or go for new technology, maybe because of they are not having the sufficient means. But entrepreneurial skill is low, entrepreneurship is not getting developed, etc., etc. So cultural inertia is that they are quite content with what they are endowed with. They might consider it their fate. And these two inertias are basically, they reinforce each other. Okay, it is this inertia because of which the other inertia grows, and that will cause the first one to grow. So each keeps on increasing on the strength of the other. So that will keep the economy at the low level, and once you have found ways to cross this threshold, then economy can get out of it. So remember, Nelson assumed, basically explained his model, that if you are quite content with the savings, and as a result the capital stock which is generated out of the savings, savings generated indigenously, then there will be low chances that you will be able to cross the threshold. So you require some kind of a big push to lift economy out of the low level equilibrium trap. It could be the foreign capital, it could be the governmental resources. Government would have to play a proactive role in lifting the economy out of the low level equilibrium trap, because if that effort or that big push is not forthcoming, then any half-hearted effort, the effort which fails to take economy cross this threshold will not be sufficient, because the economy will be pulled back to the low level equilibrium trap again. So guys, this is what this is a low level equilibrium trap, and this topic is important because this throws a light as to what is the state of affairs as far as the developing or the underdeveloped economies are concerned. So what kind of a strategy would you require, whether you will have the balanced growth strategy or unbalanced growth strategy? On these things we will discuss in separate video lectures. Okay, so guys, as far as Nelson's low level equilibrium trap is concerned, I think this is sufficient. Thank you very much.